Tonight, a public town hall to address juvenile crime, what we can expect going forward from the Department of Juvenile Services. A Maryland judge decides to hold an 18-year-old Brooklyn Day suspect in a juvenile facility, while legal experts argue it sets a dangerous precedent.
I'm Wyatt Everhart. The winds continue to whip into central Maryland out of the west, and the radar still showing snow showers out toward Deep Creek Lake. We've got the details on your forecast straight ahead.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'm Mary Bubala. We have team coverage tonight as state and local leaders take steps to curb ongoing crime throughout Maryland. Just a few minutes, Rebecca Pryor is going to join us with the shock and outrage from the city state's attorney's office after a judge decides to hold an 18-year-old suspect in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting in a juvenile facility. But first, Senate President Bill Ferguson, along with DJS Secretary Vincent Schiraldi, holding a town hall tonight to talk about juvenile crime in Baltimore City. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost joins us live with what to expect from tonight's meeting. Good evening, Mackenzie.
Hey there, Mary. You can see the table is set for the panelists who are set to begin this town hall in just about 30 minutes. And as you mentioned, some of the panelists there, we're expecting to hear from Senate President Bill Ferguson, as well as the Secretary of the Department of Juvenile Services, Vincent Schiraldi. And this town hall tonight really comes after months and months of hearing from parents, police, and prosecutors who are all frustrated. They say that they are growing more and more frustrated with the current juvenile crime crisis, especially when it comes to two laws specifically. One that we know of prevents kids 13 and younger from facing nonviolent misdemeanor charges, and the other requires law enforcement to get the approval from an attorney before they can question a juvenile suspect. Both laws we're hearing from all of these stakeholders they believe are really hindering the efforts to get a grip on the juvenile crime crisis that we're continuing to see in Baltimore City as well as beyond. And just a few moments ago, we spoke with a community member who's here, a familiar face. He's a community leader, and he says he wanted to come here tonight to hear directly from these lawmakers to hear what they're planning to do when they return to session in January. I also asked him what he is expecting to hear from DJS Secretary Schiraldi himself, and he didn't mince any words.
His resignation. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but I just don't think he gets it. You know, you're going to wait till someone is in their 20s before they're going to be, brought to court? That doesn't make sense. I know at 20, I thought I was ready to do anything, And, I don't know how many young people he's been dealing with. I've been dealing with coaching Little League Baseball, Pony League Baseball. At 20 years old, these kids can make this.
Conversations that we'll hopefully get some insight into once this begins at 6:30. We'll also have complete coverage coming up at 10. But for now, we're live in Riverside. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Mackenzie, thank you. And as Mackenzie just mentioned, another issue DJS faces: monitoring kids under DJS supervision. 18-year-old Tristan Jackson, a suspect in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting, was under DJS supervision himself when he allegedly attended the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. Police say they were able to track his ankle monitor to the scene of the crime. Jackson turned 18 2 weeks before that mass shooting. But now a Maryland judge has decided to hold him in a juvenile detention facility. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor completes our team coverage with growing concerns from legal experts.
Jackson is legally an adult, but Maryland's legal system is agreeing to treat him like a juvenile. The judge's decision shocking one legal expert that I spoke with and the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office.
In the eyes of the U.S. court system, at 18 years old, Tristan Jackson should be seen and treated as an adult. An adult facing a laundry list of violent charges, including dozens of conspiracy to commit murder and attempted murder counts in connection to the Brooklyn Homes mass shooting, the city's worst mass shooting to date, with 2 killed and 28 others injured. The incident taking place about 2 months after Jackson's 18th birthday. A police report claiming Jackson caught on CCTV surveillance cameras spraying 5 rounds in the direction of 7 unknown individuals who were fleeing, mounting a max sentencing of up to 822 years behind bars. Jackson was awaiting his day in court in an adult facility until last Friday, when a judge agreed to transfer Jackson to a juvenile detention center.
It's incredibly unusual, if not unheard of.
According to legal expert and local attorney Jeremy Eldridge,
legally speaking, minors are minors and adults are adults. It just doesn't seem to follow the logical course of where most cases track.
The decision is shocking due to the seriousness of Jackson's charges.
That's what makes this case even stranger.
And due to current capacity constraints inside DJS from post-COVID overcrowding.
There's already a shortage of beds. So the idea that an adult who's 18 and charged as an adult is being detained or sought to be detained at a juvenile holding facility seems outlandish.
Eldridge believes the only reason Jackson was even eligible for a DJS transfer, 2 months before turning 18, Jackson charged with bringing a loaded handgun to Merville High School. Just 17 at the time, Jackson was put under DJS supervision. Supervision that didn't stop him from allegedly attending the Brooklyn Day mass shooting, where police say they tracked Jackson's DJS ankle monitor to the scene of the crime.
The fact that this young man was already on DJS supervision is the back door that's being utilized to try to detain him within the juvenile system.
The legality of which City State's Attorney Ivan Bates is questioning. In a statement sent to Fox 45, Bates' office, writing in part, quote, the defendant's adult case takes priority over his juvenile matter. He is ineligible for transfer in his adult matter, and therefore, as a matter of law, he is not eligible for pretrial detention in a juvenile facility. Eldridge adding the decision sets a dangerous precedent for future cases.
The fact that DJS and the Office of the Public Defender are openly advocating for an adult who's been charged as an adult to be held at a juvenile detention facility means that other judges will have to consider the same thing. And more importantly, does it not pose a safety risk for the juveniles who are already there pending other charges?
DJS says that they will not be commenting on Jackson's case due to confidentiality laws. In Baltimore City, Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
And now to a tragedy over the weekend. A 2-year-old girl killed in Baltimore. Police say the toddler was shot and killed around 7 last night in northwest Baltimore. They have now identified her as 2-year-old Charlie Gamble. Just blocks from the city-county line, reports of gunfire inside a residence along Park Heights Avenue. Property management told us this was an isolated incident. But according to police, the first calls they received were from a city hospital, with officers expressing confusion over a man who allegedly dropped the child off at the hospital and left her there. Residents say they're concerned about how a crime like this could happen in their own neighborhood.
Definitely been a very large problem. It's very concerning to the parents around here. Our kids don't know about half the stuff that goes on around the neighborhood because we have to keep it from them. But every so often they come in and happen to hear.
BPD has not yet responded to our questions about this incident, and it's unclear whether this was a domestic situation targeted or an accidental shooting. It is a big day for the Orioles, with Governor Wes Moore announcing the deal is done. Late this afternoon, the governor speaking on a new lease deal that will keep the Orioles at Camden Yards in the long term.
We need people to believe that Baltimore can continue to grow and thrive, and the Baltimore Orioles are going to be a core linchpin in Baltimore's growth. The reason that we were so insistent on a long-term deal, just look at what happened down in Washington, D.C., where you're watching, major franchises pick up and move. These are private entities. And so a core focus for us was making sure that we could lock in the Baltimore Orioles for a long period of time, because having the Orioles here, having the Ravens here, being able to focus on Harbor Place and not just the buildup of downtown, but the buildup of neighborhoods, these are all going to be core catalysts to make sure that this can be a city that is growing, that is thriving, that is safe, that is livable, and can continue to be a true economic engine for the state of Maryland.
The Maryland Board of Public Works marking the 30-year lease extension official with a unanimous vote. The agreement also allows for development around Camden Yards, but the Orioles will need to submit a master plan before any changes can be made around the ballpark.
Just how much will progressive pushback matter on a potential border security deal? I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at that question.
Israel facing questions tonight over whether it is targeting journalists in Gaza. The latest death toll after another journalist was killed over the weekend. Making headlines tonight, a new Texas law will let police arrest and prosecute migrants who cross the border illegally, challenging U.S. immigration authority. Meanwhile, the tug of war over how to deal with growing challenges at the southern border growing more contentious on Capitol Hill. The brewing debate comes as warnings pour in about the impact on U.S. national security. Sinclair national correspondent Christine Frizzau has the latest.
The destination? The United States border. These pictures captured just days ago show the lead up to the impossible task now faced by U.S. Border Patrol as migrants hop aboard trains and thousands more wait.
It's frustrating for all of us.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection now suspending operations at the international railway crossing bridges in Eagle Pass and El Paso, Texas. Just the latest move by the Biden administration to allow Border Patrol agents to focus more on processing migrants who have already entered the country as legal trade and travel are put on hold.
This is a bad decision that impacts our border security.
Earlier this month, it was the closure of Lukeville, Arizona's port of entry. The state's Democratic governor forced to call in the National Guard to help. As senators on Capitol Hill continue to try to work on a border security fix.
The White House has now taken an active role in the border security negotiations, as recent polls have shown extremely low approval numbers for President Biden on the issue. Still, he and other Democrats are facing some pretty severe pushback.
What is on the table are policies so extreme that if enacted, it would literally be the most exclusionary, restrictive immigration legislation since the racial quota laws of the 1920s.
The Biden administration's more humane border policies from his early days in office were celebrated by many Democrats. But critics say the status quo has only benefited human smugglers and drug cartels, making millions.
The president has failed to faithfully execute the laws as required of him by the Constitution, and we intend to use every tool in the toolbox to try to make him do his job.
More challenges ahead with new warnings. The policies may impact U.S. national security as growing strains on the economy also now play out. I'm Christine Frizzau reporting.
Well, the State Department facing several questions tonight about Israel's treatment of journalists covering the conflict with Hamas. After one was killed, 2 others were injured over the weekend.
We have not seen any evidence that Israel is intentionally targeting journalists.
The U.S. is pushing Israel to investigate this video that surfaced last week. It shows Israeli police beating a Palestinian journalist in East Jerusalem. Israel denies it's targeting journalists in its operations. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, 64 journalists have been killed. 13 have been wounded since October 7th. On Saturday, an Israeli drone strike killed an Al Jazeera cameraman and injured their chief correspondent. Sunday, another journalist was shot in the leg while wearing a helmet and a press badge.
All right, weather-wise, it's all about the cold wind coming in tonight. Now, today we had high winds. They weren't particularly cold by December standards. And we do find on those west winds snow showers riding in out of the Cleveland area into Pittsburgh and, yes, down into western Maryland, toward Morgantown, toward Deep Creek Lake and points west of Cumberland, seeing a scattering of light snow showers here. If your travels take you west on 70 to 68 west, that's where you will find some flakes flying at times. So be advised of traveling that direction. Overall, though, most is going to stay out in the mountainous areas. And our main storm system continues to exit the U.S. off to the north and east, now north of Boston, impacting Maine with some heavy rain and wind tonight. We're just high and dry right now, basically looking clear, but also blustery. 43 right now. BWI feels like 36 with that wind out of the west at 13, but gusting still into the 20s. So keep in mind tonight, as temps drop, the winds will relent some, but it will stay breezy, probably at least into the first half of our Tuesday around here. Look at this maximum wind gust today. Unbelievable. 46 at BWI. Along points in the Chesapeake, some winds were gusting up to 50 miles per hour earlier today. That is some unusually high wind. And even tonight, we still see it coming in out of the west. And that wind will kind of stay up a little bit tonight, not as powerful, but still breezy, and enough to make these air temps, which are dropping pretty sharply, down to 39 already in Owings Mills and down to 42 in Rosedale. These numbers are feeling already like low 30s. by the time we get into the overnight hours, you feel like the 20s with that wind chill. So yes, air temps continuing to drop into the morning hours. It's a clear start tomorrow morning, but also one that will feature some very chilly numbers and blustery conditions overnight, snow flurries, even snow showers, but mainly for western Maryland. A few flakes could sneak into the 95 corridor in the morning, be pretty to look at, but they won't last long and they won't add up to anything. After that, we go drier and more quiet through the midweek. Quiet's nice after 3+ inches of rain for much of the state with this storm system Sunday into early Monday. And now you see the main impact is with that westerly cold flow across the Great Lakes. Lake effect snow streamers, again, reaching all the way down into West Virginia and the panhandle of Maryland out there toward Garrett County and even into Cumberland. That will all be clearing out as we go into the day tomorrow. Then we're just looking at widespread sunshine and more of a temperature forecast, though by late December standards, not particularly crazy cold, but still chilly in the morning. 30s with that wind still staying breezy. Yeah, dress warm, have the windbreaker. Upper 30s tomorrow afternoon. At least we'll have some sunshine to go with that. And just looking at the temperature trend here, you note we do go a little bit milder here Wednesday into Thursday, and then a little bit of chillier air works in toward the end of the week. What about Christmas weekend? We're going to have that exclusive 10-day forecast coming up in just minutes.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
That's what the East Coast storm sounded like in Rhode Island today. Farther north in Maine, the rain and snowmelt led to flooding, especially in the mountains. More than 500,000 people across New England lost power as winds gusted just over 60 miles per hour across the region. While in South Carolina, the National Weather Service confirmed the same system spawned a tornado on Sunday, with winds up to 90 miles per hour.
A mother in Texas says her son's teammates knowingly exposed him to peanuts after he told them about his deadly allergy. Why she's now saying the school isn't doing enough to hold those students accountable. A high school student with severe allergies exposed to peanuts by his football teammates in October. Monique Lopez from our sister station in Austin spoke with that student's mother, who says the prank could have killed her son.
They might as well have loaded a gun and put it to his head, because this is a fatal thing for my child.
Lake Travis High School student Carter Mannon has had severe food allergies, specifically a peanut allergy, since he was 9 months old. One October night before a varsity football game the next day, he shared that with some of his teammates.
The gist of it was them throwing out several scenarios. Could this kill you? Carter responding with, yes, it absolutely could kill me.
Carter's mother, Shauna Mannon, says hours before kickoff, one of his teammates began flicking peanuts at him. When he went to the locker room to suit up for the game, Carter discovered peanuts had been placed in his locker, his cleats, and on his uniform. The act by Carter's teammates was intentional and done with the full understanding of what was at risk.
They put this kid in a situation beyond his control where he was exposed to something that could have killed him, and it was done deliberately and maliciously. So that needs to be called out for what it is, attempted murder. At the very least, this is bullying.
Carter broke out in hives almost immediately, and had he not known what to do and even so much as touched his face, he could have gone into anaphylactic shock or worse. For the parent of a child with severe food allergies who also goes to Lake Travis High School and a U.S. Olympic gold medalist who knows what being on a team truly means, Mitch Gaylord says this was unthinkable.
I can't even fathom one of us or two of us doing anything like that to any of our teammates. I mean, where's your team camaraderie? It should be completely unacceptable by coaches, by the authorities, anybody in charge of those programs.
Mannon says she was told by the Lake Travis ISD Police Department that no criminal charges will be filed against the students involved, and as far as she's aware, the students were only benched for 2 games. In a letter sent to families on November 9th, the district said that the LTISD PD completed an investigation and submitted that report to the Assistant District Attorney's Office for review. At that time, it had not received a final determination from the Assistant DA's office. CBS Austin reached out to the Travis County Assistant DA's office for an update. In a statement, the DA's office says no criminal case can proceed unless our office receives a referral from law enforcement. There is currently no pending case in the office of the district attorney.
If you're caught with a vape in your car or on your person, it's an automatic 30-day suspension. When someone tries to harm your child, at the least, I would think that that would be a good place to start.
At a November 15th board meeting, Mannon, along with other outraged parents, spoke out. Mannon spoke about the taunting her son now endures following this incident. She said she was told Friday by LTISD PD that the actions did not fit the state's definition of bullying.
All right, let's get a check of that 10-day forecast now. It will be breezy tomorrow and colder, 44 degrees, but then we moderate things a little bit Wednesday and Thursday, 50s. Fresh cold shot, not a powerful one, but gets us back down to 40s Friday into Saturday. Looking at your Christmas weekend, right now, it's fantastic for travelers. Stray shower Saturday, maybe a stray shower Christmas Day. We're talking about low 50s, and even beyond Christmas for those enjoying the week off toward New Year's. Right now, it looks like fairly mild conditions, again, by late December standards.
Wyatt, thank you. Finally tonight, the Baltimore City Fire Department making sure the children of firefighter Rodney Pitts have a good holiday. Pitts died in October while fighting a 2-alarm fire in a row home in northwest Baltimore. Well, this weekend, the fire department showered Rodney Pitts' children with gifts, candy, and lots of holiday cheer. Santa Claus made a special visit to the family at the fire station. The Pitts family says they hope this helped the kids feel closer to their dad this Christmas.
I hope that honestly that they'll still feel, Rodney's presence through it all. I hope that I know that it's not a replacement for him, but I hope that it makes them feel, just some sense of normalcy, just happy and just able to enjoy the holidays without, him being around.
Firefighters and paramedics were on hand to show their support. Another firefighter, Lieutenant Dylan Ronaldo, was also killed in that October fire. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud's up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.